Imagine you're riding a roller coaster in pitch darkness. You can hear the wind, you feel the speed, but you literally cannot see the track ahead. How do you mathematically know when you've reached the absolute peak, right before that terrifying drop? Or how do you know the exact millisecond you've hit the bottom of a valley and are about to shoot straight back up?
Well, let's dive right into this puzzle. Today, we're taking those abstract algebraic curves that normally just sit flat on a page and we're treating derivatives like a powerful flashlight to map out their exact shapes in the dark.
By the end of this explainer, you're going to master the core concepts behind the first and second derivatives. You'll know the formulas and exactly how to apply them to map out the exact shape, peaks, and curves of any graph. And the best part, you're going to do all of this without ever needing to touch a graphing calculator.
Uncovering hidden peaks.
Okay, let's start with direction. If we want to find a peak or a valley on our roller coaster track, our prime suspect is what we call a critical point. Mathematically, this flat spot occurs exactly where our first derivative equals 0 or where it becomes undefined. Remember, the first derivative measures the slope of the tangent line, right? So a derivative of 0 simply means you've paused at the very top or the very bottom of the ride.
Now, you might be wondering, does a critical point absolutely guarantee we've hit a local peak or a valley? Like, if the slope is 0, is it a 100% guaranteed maximum or minimum?
Actually, no, it doesn't. And thinking about basic functions brilliantly illustrates why. Consider the function f of x equals x squared. Its first derivative is 0 at x equals 0, and sure enough, that forms a minimum. It's a valley. But then consider f of x equals x cubed. Its derivative also flattens out at 0, but then the graph just keeps on rising. It's essentially a flat landing on a staircase. So this means we need a slightly better test to actually confirm our local extrema.
Which brings us to the first derivative test.
Now that we've got a handle on critical points, let's look at the primary tool for actually proving we have a maximum or minimum. The first derivative test boils down to 3 super logical steps. Step 1, locate those flat spots, your critical points. Step 2, use those points to slice your graph's domain up into zones or subintervals. And step 3, pick a test number in each zone and plug it into the first derivative to check if the slope there is positive, meaning the graph is going up, or negative, meaning it's going down.
Let's make this a bit more concrete with an example. We're going to test a classic polynomial, x cubed minus 3x squared minus 9x minus 1, just to find its hidden shape. First, we take the derivative, set it to 0, and find those critical points. For this specific function, our flat spots happen at x equals -1 and x equals 3.
Next up, we chart those points. We've basically broken our graph into 3 distinct zones here. We pick a test point in each zone, say -2, 0, and 4. By plugging those test points back into our first derivative, a whole story unfolds. See, the slope starts off positive, but then it switches to negative right at -1. Think about it. If you go up and then down, you've created a peak, a local maximum. Then, at x equals 3, the slope switches from negative back to positive. Down, then up, boom, that reveals a valley, a local minimum.
Measuring the curve's bowl.
So the first derivative gives us direction. We know if we're going up or down. But to truly see the shape of the track in the dark, we need to know how the graph actually curves. This brings us to a concept called concavity, and we test this not with the first derivative, but with the second derivative. When the second derivative of a function is positive, the rate of the slope is increasing, and mathematically, this forces the curve to open upward.
Let's connect this to real life so it sticks. Just picture a normal, everyday cereal bowl. If your second derivative is positive, the graph is concave up. It's a bowl sitting right side up, perfectly ready to catch water. On the flip side, if your second derivative is negative, the graph is concave down. It's an upside-down bowl, spilling all that water out.
Points of inflection.
Now, if a graph can be a right-side-up bowl and later an upside-down bowl, what exactly happens at the exact mathematical moment the bowl flips over? Well, we call that specific spot an inflection point. It is the exact coordinate on a continuous function where it physically switches between being concave up and concave down. If you're driving on a winding mountain road, the inflection point is that exact split second you stop turning your steering wheel to the left and start turning it back to the right.
The second derivative test.
Knowing how to find curvature is a real game changer because it gives us this incredible shortcut. It actually lets us completely skip those big test point tables we did earlier. Welcome to the second derivative test. It works just like this. If you already know your slope is 0, meaning you are at a critical point, just check the second derivative. If the second derivative is positive, the curve is a right-side-up bowl, which means your flat spot mathematically must be at the very bottom. It's a local minimum. If the second derivative is negative, it's an upside-down bowl, meaning your flat spot has to be at the top, a local maximum.
But wait, hold on. This is absolutely crucial. What if you plug your critical point into the second derivative and it equals exactly 0? Why in the world does the test suddenly become inconclusive?
Well, if it's 0, the test completely fails. And here is exactly why. Functions like x to the fourth and negative x to the fourth both have a critical point at 0. And they both have a second derivative of exactly 0 at that point. Yet one is clearly a minimum valley and one is clearly a maximum peak. So, rule of thumb, if your second derivative is 0, you toss out the shortcut and you march right back to the first derivative test.
Okay, before we wrap up this explainer, let's quickly summarize these key takeaways so they really lock into your memory. The first derivative acts as your mathematical compass. It tells you the direction the graph is heading, whether that's up or down. The second derivative measures the curve of that path, whether the road is bending upward like a bowl or downward like a dome. Used together, they allow you to map out any localized shape in the dark.
But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. And honestly, the exact reason you're going to want to join our next lecture. If these specific mathematical tools brilliantly illuminate the peaks, valleys, and curves right in front of us, how can we mathematically predict a function's behavior when x doesn't just stop at 4 or 5, but stretches endlessly out into infinity? Think about that for a bit, and we'll